Hey guys, what's up? It is Ben with Vamonos Vans here. Just want to give you a quick tour of base camp so that you can go ahead, start to get familiar with the van now, so that by the time your rental day comes, you can just show up, grab the van, grab the keys, and hit the road. Let me show you inside. All right, so as we walk into the van, of course, you know you're gonna come right into the kitchen. And the first thing that I want to do is just get electrical out of the way. This is typically the biggest area of questions for a lot of renters. So before we get lost in the fun parts, we're just going to go over the technical stuff. So most of what you are going to care about is going to be right here on this screen on the side that says system. You'll see right now it says available time, 1 day and 1 hour, and we have 80% battery capacity. And if the sun was out or we were plugged into shore power or the vehicle was running, we would see that one of the three main power sources would be giving us some wattage and charging the battery, at which point instead of available time, it would say time to recharge. And then this number would be reflecting how long until the battery is fully charged. That covers the input section. Of course, you know you've got solar, shore power. If you don't know, that's going to be grid power, so you can always plug the van into the grid with an extension cord. And then, of course, the first one here on the screen, or the last one that we talk about, the alternator, that is the engine actually charging the battery while you're driving. And that all happens automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. Down here on outputs, this is going to be what power you are using. Now we've got two separate main circuits here, the AC circuit and the DC circuit. Now if you don't know AC circuits, we're talking about these regular wall plugs that you see around the house. That is 110 volt AC. So anything that plugs into one of these sockets, and we have two more back here, we'll talk about those in a second. If you want to use those, this has to be turned on. Otherwise, you're going to want to keep that turned off. We'll save a little bit of power. Now we've got our 12 volt DC circuits. This is showing the main circuit, so this is going to turn all of them on or off. If we come into the inputs, we can see we've got some specifics. We've got gray dump, fresh dump, water pump, water heater, fridge, and then a whole bunch of other circuits. These first four are the ones that you're going to care about. To dump the gray water tank, all you have to do is turn that switch on. The gray tank dump valve will open underneath the van automatically. And what we like to say is if you use non-toxic soaps, there should only be either fresh water or water with soap going in here. Any kind of solids or waste should be thrown away and disposed of. These are very simple plumbing systems, and you don't want to clog those up because, of course, that requires a lot more cleaning and then fees on your behalf, and we don't want to clean it, and we're sure that you don't want to pay the fees. So if we just keep fresh water and soapy water with non-toxic soap going into the gray tank, then we can dump the gray tank pretty much anywhere guilt-free, knowing that it's not going to harm anything. Similarly, if you want water running, you'll need to turn the water pump on here. Just good practice to keep that off unless we want running water. Similarly, the water heater. So if you want hot water, you're going to want to turn that one on about 15-20 minutes before you want that hot water. It's got about a 4-gallon capacity, so you're going to want to give it time to heat up. Other than that, you're not going to want to touch anything in here really, or on the entire system in the inputs or the system. And actually it is really easy to mess things up on the system if you go changing anything other than the settings that we just showed you. So that's about all you need to pay attention to on there. These are the water tank gauges. Unfortunately, they're not working right now. We are working on fixing that, so you can disregard that for this trip. This button right here is one that you will want to pay attention to, though. You can see when I push that and the blue light goes on, what happens now is all of our drawers are actually locked in place with electromagnetic locks behind the drawers. And that's so when you're driving around, you don't have to worry about the drawers sliding open on you when you take turns. But if you see, if I come back here, push the button, and now that blue light is off, it's actually quite easy for me to open any of these drawers. If at any point you do have drawers opening while that switch is turned on, most likely what needs to happen is the drawer just needs to be pushed back just a little bit to make contact with the magnetic plate on the back of the cabinet. And then everything should work fine. So for now, we're going to go ahead and keep this up, but you're going to want to turn that on before you start driving. And we'll talk about a few other electrical things before we wrap up there. Going back over here, of course, we already talked about the 110 volt outlets. You're also going to have some USB. You got USB-A and USB-C. And then we've got light switches. This one is going to be for our main lights. You can see when I push this, those go on and off. And this is also on a dimmer. And then if we go over to this side of the van, you can see we've got two more switches. This one, again, push on and off for the lights underneath the cabinet. And those are on a dimmer as well. And then lastly, the bottom switch here is going to be for the under counter lights, also on a dimmer. And then similarly, we've got USB-A and USB-C charging and another 110. As far as cooking goes, you've got an induction cooktop. That's going to be in one of your lower drawers. That you can just plug right into the outlet here. And then we've got pots and pans for you. And we'll be including 2 sets of cutlery, plate, bowl, cups, so that you have the basics for cooking some meals. But beyond that, you will want to supply for yourself. So any kind of specialized cooking utensils, knives, tongs, ladles, anything like that. So pack accordingly based on what you want to cook. Coming over here to the sink, just like we were talking about up here with the water pump turned on, this will operate like a normal sink, being able to turn on and off here and changing temperature. These also have a hose on the faucet with a switch to change up the stream. You've got a cutting board and a drying rack down below. And just a good rule of thumb, you've got about 22 gallons of fresh water and 16 gallons of gray water capacity. And when you are out of fresh water, that's always a good time to also dump the gray tank. Of course, you can dump the gray tank at any time. There's really no harm to that. But if you are refilling the fresh tank, then you definitely want to be dumping the gray tank. A couple more things on power. We'll talk about the refrigerator. This is running on 12 volt DC. And this one is not on the electromagnetic locks, but it does have a pretty tough latch and magnet system in the door. So don't be shy. You can go ahead and give that a good yank. And then we've got our fridge space here in the main drawer. You do have a separate basket on slides also for the fridge. And then this one right here is your freezer. And then this will just slide back in and lock in place, and you don't have to worry about that one opening up on you. Lastly, if we go into the back, we've got some reading lights here with USBs underneath for charging your phone, as well as 110 volt outlets on both sides. And we've got our max fan. You've got controls right here on the fan itself. And then we also have a remote with all the same controls here in the drawer for you. Last thing to talk about in the kitchen is going to be the doors for our upper cabinets and for the sink cabinet right here. This goes for the uppers on the other side as well. The latching mechanism on here is a push to latch and push to release function. So if we push in here, and then let the door come out. That will unlatch it, let it come up. And then similarly, when we want to close it, we'll push it until we hear that click. And then that is latched into place. Same goes for the other ones. And this cabinet here as well. Now this is just underneath the sink. This is open storage. You can use this as you see fit. Of course, just be careful of the plumbing behind. Okay, so moving into the back, you can see we've got everything set up in bed mode right now. And this is definitely the best way to travel. Typically the best way to leave it for the majority of the time. You'll see when the table is up, but the table has a lot of articulation to it, which means that it's really easy for it to move around and get damaged while driving. So the best practice is definitely to take the table down, store the pieces to the table away, and put the cushions down while you are driving. You can see here, if I pull the skinnier cushions out, those fit on the back of each bench, and the bigger cushions actually don't need to be moved. Those can stay exactly where they are. And then here we've got the table leg, and then we've got two slats to fill in the extra space. So the table leg is going to be stored in here. I'm going to go ahead and get that set up right now, and we'll show you how it works. All right, so here we are in bench mode or table mode. You can see the bamboo section that was down towards the back underneath the bed is now our tabletop. And that connects to this arm, which connects to that leg, which mounts on this bracket. Pretty simple to set up. And as you can see, it does articulate, and we can move it around in a couple different orientations based on exactly what we're doing, who's hanging out, and all those things. While we're here, we'll go ahead and talk about the extra storage that you've got here in the benches. The lower levels are both all for utilities, but the upper sections of the benches, as we can see in here, is all storage. So if we come around here to the back, a couple things to note. If there are any electrical issues and we ask you to go to the power distribution panel, that's what this guy is right here. That's like your breaker box at your house with your AC breakers and DC fuses. Unless we tell you to, don't worry about that. You don't need to go in there. On this side, however, we've got a couple things for you. Got your shower here for you with hot and cold water. Again, a reminder, if you want hot water, make sure to go ahead and turn on the hot water heater in the control panel over there. You've got a hose stored in there where we were just showing you that we'll go ahead and push in and twist to connect here. Really simple setup, so you can have a nice shower anywhere. If you need to fill the freshwater tank, that is going to be your freshwater fill inlet. Again, we've got a hose connection stored in here for you that you can connect to a garden hose and make that job just a little easier. Okay, so that about wraps it up for the tour of base camp. Really excited for you to take it out on your trip. A couple things, just if you haven't ever driven anything big like this before, you're definitely going to want to take it a little bit slower than you would in a car. Give yourself more braking distance, take wider turns, and just remember this is about 10 feet tall, so watch out for those low overhangs. I also want to ask for your help, and we've got a really nice discount for you if you feel so inclined. So I'm sure you noticed throughout the tour, the van is pretty clean, and we want to keep it that way for all of our renters. We do have a $120 cleaning fee, but if you bring the van back to us in similar state to what it is, that means no dishes to do, gray water tank is emptied, there's no messes to clean up, everything's relatively the way that you found it. We're going to give you a $100 discount on that cleaning fee, so could be a nice little money saving tip for you. And with that being said, thank you for choosing Vamonos Vans and Base Camp for your trip. We hope you have a really good time. As I'm sure you know, everything runs on reviews these days. So at the end of your rental, we have to shamelessly ask you for a 5-star review, but that means that you can use that to your advantage. We want you to have a 5-star experience. We don't want to have to beg for it. So while you're out on the trip, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We will answer as quickly as possible. If it's the middle of the night, it might take a few hours for us to get back to you. But we are here for you, here to make sure that you have a good experience, and then you want to share that experience with other renters so that they have a good time like you did. Once again, I'm Ben with Vamonos Vans. This is Base Camp. We're excited for you to take off on your trip. Have a good time.